It's been a controversial topic, but in recent years, one name has risen above all else: Shein.
Shein.
Shine.
I say Shein.
$200. $500.
Y'all, the Shein package that I was waiting for arrived, so let's open
If you've
it.
ever browsed social media, you've seen influencers showing off their Shein hauls or promoting trendy outfits at low prices. It now accounts for nearly 50% of US fast fashion sales and has surpassed brands like Zara and H&M. And Shein's success is driven by its ability to drop over 10,000 new items daily. It offers trendy and expensive clothes to millions of consumers worldwide. But how did Shein go from a known brand to a global fast fashion powerhouse? And what does this all mean for your consumers, your finances, and really a world driven by consumerism? Shein was founded in 2008 by Chris Xu with a background in SEO and actually wasn't known for its fast fashion, but rather it sold wedding dresses that were made in China. But just like how Amazon got its start selling books, it wasn't until 2012 that it pivoted to target a broader audience of trendy, low-cost clothing. And in 2020, when everyone was stuck inside, shopping at home, Shein exploded. But the thing is, fast fashion isn't new. It's been around since the 90s, and before Shein there was Zara, Forever 21, and H&M. So for Shein to adopt this fast fashion model isn't a new concept. So how did Shein grow and outpace so many of its competitors who had more time in the market? So much so that now Shein is valued at $30 billion. Well, the first is social media. If you've been anywhere close to social media, there has been this uprising of haul culture. Basically, it's influencers showing off their latest and abundant purchases from Shein on TikTok, YouTube, or Instagram. Call it social media marketing, but Shein has turned itself into a culture. And their strategy relies heavily on employing and partnering with influencers and giving these influencers free Shein clothes and products to show off in their videos. And it's a pretty great strategy. Shein needs influencers and influencers need Shein. It's a win-win partnership. Shein gets the cheap marketing to mass audiences, and influencers get free clothes but also content. And for both parties, having an endless supply of leads is extremely valuable for both. And these hauls have really become a staple of internet culture, and it's something that is foundational for a lot of content creators, and so much so that many do it for free. And all the buzz and swirl means more marketing for Shein. And all of this lands especially well with millennials and Gen Z, and with a very large majority of 80% being aware of Shein and nearly half purchasing through Shein. And through Gen Z and millennials, Shein has outpaced and dominated its competitors like Zara and H&M, but even upsetting big giants like Walmart and even Amazon. They even had a campaign and invited a group of influencers to China to tour and showcase one of their Chinese factories that makes some of their clothes, or at least, Shein claimed this was one of their factories. Controversy and scandal broke out and argued that the tour and videos that were shown did not accurately represent working conditions, which in fact is full of labor issues, chemicals, and a lack of safety conditions. And Shein also follows a model known as an on-demand model, meaning that they create inventory as an order or demand is received versus having inventory readily available. And so for example, say you want a cat cardigan, and for a lot of companies they might have 10 or even 15,000 units just sitting in hopes of being sold. But Shein with the on-demand model will make a small batch of 100 or 200 orders, and Shein will evaluate customer feedback in real time and restock products that are in demand. And this makes sure supplier partners make what customers want without overproducing. That means more affordable prices and less waste. And this is great. It's the middle ground between being great for Shein, its customers, but also for the environment, which not a lot of companies can say. Therefore, there are a lot less cat cardigans sitting in landfill because too much was made and not enough was purchased. And not only is it more scalable, but it's less prone to supply chain disruptions, and a lot has been happening lately in the past few years. You have a boat stuck in a canal, avian flu that causes egg prices to skyrocket, COVID, or a war in Ukraine which increases wheat prices and therefore the price of your Big Mac. And on the surface, Shein seems pretty great. They have scaled massively with their on-demand model and have found the sweet spot that benefits everyone around them. But there's a lot more to it, so let's dive in. And before we go on, if you're enjoying this video, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any other pop culture and finance videos. And the first is being labor issues. Shein was investigated by Channel 4's documentary called Inside the Shein Machine, where they used undercover cameras to film factory workers. and it exposed the dark truth of labor issues where workers are pulling 17-hour shifts to produce garments and clothing, all for about $20 a day. And it was also found that Shein clothes, along with other fast fashion companies like AliExpress, had high levels of questionable and dangerous chemicals in them like lead. And South Korea reported that toxic substances were found in amounts of hundreds of times more than acceptable levels in children's products. And as much as Shein's on-demand model reduces its environmental footprint, its carbon emissions are still at another level. According to a 2023 study, 57% of fast fashion purchases end up in landfills within a year. And according to an article, Shein is officially the biggest polluter in fast fashion, with its emissions doubling in 2023 and 16.7 million total metric tons of carbon dioxide. And with all of Shein's success will be even more companies who will try to emulate and copy Shein's business model. That means more labor, health, and environmental issues. And the problem isn't just with Shein itself, it's also how it affects fashion and e-commerce as a whole. Shein's low prices and fast turnaround times have forced traditional brands to compete on speed and cost. And instead of a race to the top, it's more like a race to the bottom, where retailers are struggling to maintain profit while meeting consumer demands for low-cost, trendy items. And a part of it is also just consumer fashion culture. More luxurious shoppers typically have a sense of respect or appreciation for the stylish brands they follow or buy from. And this is a bit of the opposite for Shein. Ultra fast fashion encourages more of a mindset where clothing is seen as disposable. It's how it impacts and influences us on an individual level. And this culture that Shein has created with ultra fast fashion and hauls has created a disposable lifestyle. And from a personal finance perspective, Shein is kind of a blessing and a curse. And sure, you have low prices and accessible clothing, but it encourages impulsive spending and unsustainable shopping habits. And according to Business Insider, the average Shein customer is 35 years old, who earns $65,000 annually and spends $100 a month on clothing. And basically, that's $1,200 spent on fast fashion that could have been spent on higher quality items that last longer, paying down your student loans, adding to your emergency savings, or investing in the stock market. And $100 a month might not seem like that much, but let's do the math. If you were to invest $100 a month in the S&P 500, assuming an average 10% annual return, in 20 years, that's around $70,000. And in 30 years, that's $200,000. And even among all of this, there are issues with copy designs, lawsuits with Temu, and tariff loopholes that all make the future of Shein uncertain. And to be clear, I don't think people buying from Shein come from a bad place. I would say for most people, buying anything really, but especially something from Shein, aren't aware of the labor or environmental impacts. And for most, they see a cheap fast fashion product that they can afford or an opportunity to post their haul on social media for some likes and attention, or both. But the thing is, for those who see Shein and fast fashion as a necessity because it is what they can afford, there are other alternatives. And one of those ways is focusing on quality over quantity. So instead of buying 10 cheap items that wear out quickly, consider buying a few higher quality pieces that will last for years. And there are thrift stores and secondhand shops that sell much higher quality items, also at a fraction of the cost. And not to mention, secondhand stores and hand-me-down fashion has created its own culture and trend. And that means less junk in your life and a lot more money to spend on things that actually matter to you. And in a world of consumerism, where we're constantly told to buy things, and as much as it's on companies to promote good ethical practices, it's also very much up to consumers to also make the right purchases. Shein's rise highlights this appeal of fast fashion. It's trendy, affordable, and accessible. But beneath the surface, there are hidden costs that affect your wallet, the environment, and workers around the world. And making more mindful purchases can protect your finances and contribute to a more sustainable future. And Shein is just one cog in the world of fast fashion. So check out the next video on Temu to see how it's dominated the world of e-commerce.